Welcome to today's webinar, Automating Root Cause Analysis to Reduce the Cost of Poor Quality, sponsored by ETQ. I'm Dirk Ducharme, Editor-in-Chief for Quality Digest and your host for today's webinar. In today's fast-paced manufacturing and compliance-driven environments, quality issues like recalls and rework and scrap and customer complaints can cost organizations millions. But what if you could prevent these issues before they escalate? Today, we're going to explore how automating root cause analysis through an electronic quality management system can dramatically reduce the cost of poor quality. We're going to learn how leading organizations uncover systemic issues, not just surface level symptoms, how automation accelerates root cause analysis, improves compliance, and reduces the cost of costly quality events. We're going to learn also how to shift from reactive fixes to proactive quality management using real-time data and closed-loop corrective action tracking. Before we get started, just a reminder that you can send us questions using the Q&A box. If you mouse down there towards the bottom of the screen, you should see the Q&A button. Go ahead and click that and send your questions to us as you think of them, and we will address them after the presentation. A recording of this webinar will be available one day after the webinar at about this time. Keep your eyes open for that. It'll come from Quality Digest. Those of you who need a certificate of attendance, remember, you must answer at least one of the polling questions presented during the webinar. All right, let me tell you a little bit about today's presenters. First, we got Angela Anderson, who's an experienced marketing professional. She has created and executed marketing programs for technology-driven and SaaS organizations in a range of industries. At ETQ, she is a critical senior member of the product marketing team with special expertise in connected worker issues and solutions. Also is Nikola Koseric, and he supports organizations in evaluating quality management system solutions. With several years of experience in industrial software and systems, he brings a practical, customer-focused perspective to quality and compliance challenges. And last but not least, we have Tom Parlow. Tom has more than 20 years experience in the quality management industry as both a quality practitioner and a QMS software expert. And I believe, Angela, you are starting us off.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Dirk. Thank you so much for the warm introduction. And thank you all for joining today. Really appreciate you offering your time and attention to the presentation. So in this session, in addition to all that Dirk described, we'll dive into some of the mechanics of root cause analysis with the help of Plastomold, our real-life scenario protected by a fictitious name. And we'll look at some of the do's and don'ts for ensuring an effective root cause analysis process, and we'll see what this process looks like in action within the ETQ Reliance QMS software environment. And then we will have plenty of time, hopefully, for some Q&A at the end. Oops, I think I double-clicked. Let me click back. Okay. So if you are kind of maybe unfamiliar with ETQ, we are a well-established leader in enterprise QMS software. The company was founded over 30 years ago by quality professionals, and they saw an opportunity to enhance quality management with software technology. And our core product is, as I mentioned, ETQ Reliance. It's a flexible, configurable, cloud-based QMS platform that centralizes and automates quality processes and that access to advanced quality analytics. Our mission continues today, helping businesses all over the world in all types of industries solve their quality challenges and create business value through effective collaborative quality management. So speaking of ongoing success, let's talk a little about root cause analysis. So what is root cause analysis? Well, as the name suggests, root cause analysis is a method of problem solving used for identifying the root causes of faults, problems, nonconformances, and really all manner of quality and safety issues. There are a few key steps to performing a root cause analysis, and these will be very high level, but the first step, of course, is to kind of moving from bottom to top here. First step is to capture what happened. So defining the problem and any specific symptoms that led to reporting the issue. Next, you're going to run your risk assessment, which is to say, determining the duration of the problem. That is like how long have we been producing bad parts, and the severity of that impact on your organizational processes. From there, you'll move into identifying the contributing factors that may have caused the problem, and then isolating that root cause using one of the methodologies that we'll be discussing today. And then finally, the fun part, developing a solution to mitigate or eliminate that root cause. And following this framework, and a framework like this can really help you set expectations with all of your stakeholders and keep you on track for an effective RCA process. So I mentioned contributing factors. So it's important to note that the root cause is not always, but typically caused by a single factor. But one or several contributing factors may constitute kind of the root causes, plural, of the problem. A contributing factor is one that affected the event outcome, but is not necessarily considered the root cause. So a rule of thumb is to ask if removing the factor prevents the problem from recurring. If the answer is no, keep digging. If the answer is yes, then it's most likely your root cause. So it's really important to kind of isolate what that true root cause is and to not stop the analysis prematurely in order to prevent further accumulation of costs and risks related to recurring issues. So prevent recurrence, that's the goal. And the methods and frameworks we'll look at with Nikola here in just a little bit are designed to do just that. They are designed to help you systematically analyze the problem, going through those steps, identifying the contributing factors and the root cause that will all be addressed through your action plan and through your corrective and preventive actions. All right. So why bother with all this? Seems like a lot of work. Well, it's really rooted in the ISO 9000 quality standard. So if your business is relying on that to prove to the world your level of quality standard, this is an essential discipline to achieving the continual improvement aspect of ISO 9000. Organizations that invest in these quality methods are better positioned to maintain performance in meeting customer requirements and also holding their suppliers accountable to that performance. They're better positioned to react to internal changes or external changes in the market or in the supply chain. And they're better positioned to be agile and take advantage of new opportunities because quality and continual improvement are a part of the culture. So I would say these are pretty strong reasons for your organization to invest and become more invest in these types of disciplines and processes and become more successful and resilient. And with that, I am going to hand it over to Nikola to continue our exploration of root cause analysis through the eyes of our scenario company, Plastomold. All right, over to you, Nikola.
Awesome. Thank you, Angela. So like Angela was saying, to better explain root cause analysis, we'll be telling the story of Plastomold, a food and beverage company. No, I'm just kidding there. They manufacture molded plastic parts. Who would have thought by that name? But in the last 6 months, they have logged repeat defects during final inspection. So they finish producing the part, it goes to inspection, and they continue to log these defects. Despite this, they don't have any root cause or corrective actions that have been documented. And when they've been asked why, the answer is all too familiar. We just scrap the parts. It's not worth spending time on such a low cost item. And I'm sure many of you have heard this before as well. But what if this low cost issue is hiding a high cost problem? When factoring in the cost of poor quality, cost runs deeper than just dollars and affects more than just the bottom line. We have a few personas here that kind of show how they're being affected. Our quality manager is frustrated with the recurring issues, but lacks any data visibility within their current QMS to track their nonconformances and to identify the root cause. Our production supervisor is focused on filling the order, not identifying the root cause. Our operator notices the defects, but isn't empowered to escalate the issue. And our customer continues to receive defective parts, leading to a costly complaint or return and degradation to the Plastomold reputation. Now, Plastomold has a variety of tools that they can use to identify their root cause. In this case, we'll be sticking to 3 traditional root cause analysis methods: Pareto charts, fishbones, and 5 whys, as well as leveraging newer tools with AI and machine learning. But before we get into that, we want to have a few quick polling questions. First, do any of you currently use any root cause analysis tools?
And we'll put those up, and you should be seeing the survey now. There you go. And give you a moment to answer that. For those of you just arriving, if you have any questions for us, you can use the Q&A button down there at the bottom of your screen. If you just mouse down, you'll see the Q&A button. Just click that and ask your questions. I see we've already had some coming in. Thanks for those of you who are already participating. And again, for those of you who need a certificate of attendance, you're going to need to answer at least one of the polling questions that come up. So now's your chance to answer one of them. So go ahead and do that. We'll give you another 15, 20 seconds here on this one, and then we'll see how y'all did. All right, and we will have another poll question come up here in a little bit. So let's go ahead and stop this one and share the results.
Awesome. So glad to see 80%, 88% answered yes. So good to know that you guys are already currently using any root cause analysis tools. That leads us on to our second question. What root cause analysis tools do you currently use? Now, you can select more than one option here, so select all that apply to you.
And again, we'll give you guys a moment to do that.
I'm looking forward to the answer on this one.
So when you guys are out talking to customers and stuff, I would assume that most people are using kind of the standard root cause analysis tools that we see. Is that true? Or are you seeing that some people are just muddling along and aren't even aware that there are very useful tried and true tools out there?
It all depends on where the customer is in their quality journey. You know, many do use the tried and true methods like Pareto, Fishbone, or 5Y, and others are still very early on in their quality journey and don't really do any root cause analysis. So it depends on where they are and what their processes are that they have in place.
All right, give you another few seconds here. All righty. Okay, let's go ahead and share these results.
So looks like our main ones are Pareto chart, Fishbone, 5Y, and flow charts. And 5Ys, which is my my personal favorite, is taking the cake with around 86%. That's great to know.
Interesting. We've got some advanced thinkers here with the AI and machine learning. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
So jumping into our first root cause analysis method, we'll talk about the Pareto chart. Now, the Pareto chart is named after Vilfredo Pareto, quite a name, and he is the father of the 80-20 rule. It combines a bar chart with a line graph to visualize and prioritize what's most important. So at a high level view, we can see what our problem areas are, what number of occurrences they have, and then what the cumulative percentages are. And it's especially beneficial in identifying where to focus our efforts to achieve the greatest improvements. Now, our 4 steps, or the Pareto process, can be broken down into 4 simple steps. First, we need to define the categories and measurements that we want to track. So as we'll see later, in the case of Plastomold, our categories that we want to track are our defects from our plastic molds. Second, we need to collect the data and sum up the measurements for each category. So tying it back to the nonconformances, we want to track the number of nonconformances, or the number of defects, for our product, and sum them up. Next, we'll create a bar chart with our categories on the horizontal axis and place our bars in descending order. So in the case of our defects, our highest number of defects will be on the left and our lowest will be on the right. And finally, we'll calculate and plot the cumulative percentages and connect them with a line, giving us our finished Pareto chart. Now, in Plastomold's case, their categories are the different defects that they found in final inspection: short shot, flash, burn marks, warping, so on and so forth. And if we look at this Pareto chart, we can see that short shot is a reason for a majority of their defects, coming in around 450 occurrences, and around 50% of the defects. And we can also see that if they resolve short shot, flash, and burn marks, they would resolve 80% of their defects. So from this chart, we can make the assumption that Plastomold should focus their efforts on short shot to have the largest effect. Now for our next fishbone method, we'll talk about fishbone, or I'm sorry, for our next root cause method, we'll talk about fishbone. This was created by Karu Ishikawa in 1968 to help teams determine the potential root cause of a problem. And it gets its name from its layout, as you can see on the right, mimicking a fishbone. The problem is listed at one end, which represents the head of the fish, and the categories or area of failures represent the bones. As you identify the categories, you drill down into each, searching for your root cause. And in this case, we've got 6 categories here: measurements, people, environment, machines, methods, and materials. In this case, we've got the 6 categories, but this can vary based on your requirements. We'll just use this here as an example. And fishbone analysis is especially useful for determining the cause and effect of complex problems. So where your root cause can have multiple, or where your problem can have multiple root causes, fishbone can be very helpful there. Now, to leverage the fishbone process for root cause analysis, we'll start off by identifying our problem and putting it at the head of our fishbone diagram. So based on our Pareto chart that we had for Plastomold, we'll put our short shot defect as our head of our fishbone diagram. Next, we'll ask questions within our categories. And as we ask these questions, we'll drill down deeper into each of our branches. And finally, we'll analyze our responses to determine the ultimate root cause or root causes. So for Plastomold, like I said, we identified our problem as short shot during the injection molding process. And after filling out our 6 different branches, we ask questions like what the cause could be related to the materials in our process. So in this case, for our materials, we can see that contamination of our raw materials or our improper mixture can be affecting our resin, and this could possibly be our root cause to our short shot. And finally, my favorite root cause analysis method, 5 whys, was developed by Sakachi Toyota, the founder of Toyota Industries, to move beyond the symptoms and to identify the root cause of a problem. It can be used for troubleshooting quality improvements and solving moderately complex problems, and it works in a very simple way. Continue asking why until you identify the root cause. I think the reason this one's my favorite is ever since I was little, I would just keep asking why until my parents would have no more answers for me. And if there's more than one potential answer to a why, you can branch out to pursue any additional paths. So the 5 why process has 5 simple steps, easy enough to remember. Our first step is to assemble a team that's familiar with the process or system and the issue at hand. Second, a clear problem statement must be defined. And third and most important is ask why. Like a toddler, keep asking why until you run out of questions. Make sure that the answer to each why is factual. It should be backed by data and focus on processes or system errors. This is where your QMS can come really handy. Once the team thinks that they've reached the root cause, they should then determine whether the problem or failure would still occur if the issue identified in the answer was the fix. If the answer is yes, they need to ask why again. If the answer is no, they've identified the root cause. Now, we'll use 5 whys as a rule of thumb, but your mileage may vary. You may need more or less to reach your root cause. Step 4 is to develop a corrective action around the root cause to actually solve it. And 5 is to monitor and measure it to ensure that the root cause has been properly identified and corrected and won't occur again. Now, Plastomold starts their 5 why process after assembling a team by defining the problem as several repeat short shot defects in the final inspection logs. With their first why, they determined that the molds were not completely filled during the injection process. Asking why again, they find that there is insufficient injection pressure. And another why reveals that the injection unit is not maintaining the set pressure. So we're starting to close in on our root cause. If we dig in a little deeper, they'll identify that there is wear and contamination in the hydraulic system, causing the injection unit not to maintain set pressure and ultimately cause the incomplete fillings of the mold. Now, although this may look like our root cause at first glance, correcting this would not guarantee that our problem wouldn't occur again, since we don't know why the wear and contamination happened within the hydraulic system in the first place. If we ask why a final time, we can find out that an out-of-date maintenance procedure is the reason that there is wear and contamination in the hydraulic system, and is ultimately the root cause to our repeat defects caught in final injection tied to short shot. Now that we've wrapped up our 3 traditional root cause analysis methods, it's time for Wall Street and everyone's favorite buzzword, AI and machine learning. I want to quickly specify that while AI is incredibly useful in many ways, it doesn't replace the traditional root cause analysis methods like the 3 that we just discussed. It simply augments root cause analysis and adds one more tool to our toolbox. With that said, industrial AI makes automated root cause analysis possible. We can use it to streamline real-time analysis of complex and high-volume shop data to identify any patterns and generate predictive quality alerts. We do so by leveraging a tool like Acertal Line Pulse, connecting our plant floor data and allowing AI and machine learning to work its magic and identify anomalies or things that are trending out of the norm. Now, although I'm highlighting the benefits here for quality and more specifically root cause analysis, I do want to mention that this is a plant floor tool, not a quality tool. We can leverage it for predictive quality alerts, but again, it's not a quality specific tool. Despite this, we can leverage it with our EQMS, such as ETQ Reliance, to help cross-functional teams resolve issues faster and earlier in production. Now, when combining our traditional root cause analysis methods, our Pareto charts, fishbone analysis, and 5 whys, with our automated root cause analysis via AI and machine learning, we can really progress in our closed loop quality journey. As an example, we can use Acertal Line Pulse to collect our data that is generated from machines, inspections, and other factory sources and monitor for anomalies, monitor for anomalies using AI and machine learning to predict downstream production or quality issues. In the event that an anomaly is detected, we can automatically trigger a quality event in ETQ Reliance or EQMS. This will allow our production team to remain focused on production and our quality team to focus on quality and not monitoring production data for any defects. We can then leverage our traditional root cause analysis methods that we talked about earlier to qualify our line pulse alert, add context, identify our root cause, develop and implement a corrective action, and monitor and measure to ensure that the root cause is resolved, all within ETQ Reliance. Finally, we can take our human feedback to better calibrate the line pulse algorithm and predict any further future issues. So now after our root cause analysis with Plastomold, we can come full circle. We started off with Plastomold just scrapping parts since it wasn't worth spending the time on such a low-cost item. After doing our root cause analysis, we found that this low-cost issue was hiding a high-cost problem: improper maintenance on a critical piece of equipment that could have halted production if not caught. Not only did we resolve this issue, but we also empowered our team to become proactive instead of reactive. Our quality manager, who was once frustrated by the recurring issues but lacked any data visibility, can now track and trend data collected in Plastomold's new QMS. Our production supervisor, who was focused on filling the order and not finding the root cause, now has a proactive maintenance for a production critical asset, minimizing the risk of any unplanned downtime. Our operator, who noticed the original defects but wasn't empowered to escalate the issue, is now equipped with the processes and tools needed to participate in root cause analysis. And last but not least, our customer, who had received defective parts in the past, now receives a consistent product that meets and fulfills their requirements. So to wrap up our tips for our save process, we have a few do's and don'ts. First off, for do's is we want to deploy a corrective action that will prevent recurrence, not just correct the issue one time. We want to review our workflow to identify any weaknesses in the products that may occur. And we want to review any past corrective actions that might give us clues on where to focus our areas. During the RCA process, we're focused on effectiveness, not just resolving the issue once. And if we follow the process properly, we'll be rewarded with a lower cost of quality, efficiency gains, empowering our teams, and happy customers. Now, a few don'ts to keep in mind is don't impose any unnecessary time constraints. We don't want to rush the process. We want to take our time to actually identify the root cause. Also, don't rush to assume operator error. Although that may be the case, it often dives deeper than that. It could be an issue with documentation or training on our part. Don't be short-sighted with any corrective actions. The answer isn't to just follow the procedure. It's to ensure that our staff and our employees can follow the procedure properly and are trained to do so. Don't exclude any key stakeholders. Everyone who is involved, or everyone who's a key stakeholder, should be involved in the RCA process. And leadership should make sure not to discourage the discipline. We want them to be involved in the RCA process as well. Our risk with our don'ts is that we can have the problems continue to recur, we can waste resources, and we can have a negative impact on morale, both of our customers and our staff. Now, we've come full circle on our root cause analysis for Plastomold, but I want to show what their journey would have looked like if they had an EQMS like ETQ Reliance in place. We'll start here first with a corrective action that originated from a non-conformance report submitted by an operator. We can see that the plastic mold had a finishing defect. And although we're starting here with a corrective action, this root cause analysis can originate from many different sources in ETQ Reliance depending on the situation. Whether it originated from customer feedback, return, an audit, inspection, quality event, safety event, or a trigger from line pulse or AI and ML tool. Going back to our corrective action, we can find our root cause analysis. Now, although I'm showing a root cause analysis within a corrective action, it's the same within a quality event, an audit, so on and so forth. We decided to leverage our 5Y methodology, which you can see in our attachments here. But if there's another methodology that we want to use, like the 3 we discussed, we can just go ahead and select that from a template. That'll give us an attachment that we can use to conduct our root cause analysis. Upon completing our root cause analysis, we can find that our description of it was the same that we found in our 5Ys earlier. There's an out-of-date maintenance procedure that's causing wear of the hydraulic system.
Nick, can I jump in for a sec before you move on to the next slide?
Yep.
Someone asked a question earlier about the employing the Kepner-Trigo technique for problem solving. So this pull down that Nick is displaying on the right side is a perfect example of where you could incorporate that as your own template into the system as part of the root cause analysis program. So these are the 3 tools that we provide out of the box as part of the root cause analysis toolkit, but you can easily incorporate your own tools for root cause analysis as much as you'd like. Thanks, Nick.
Tom. So after conducting our root cause analysis, it's time to actually go into the corrective action and list off some action items. In our case, we need to update maintenance documentation, train our maintenance staff on the new procedure, and monitor and measure the fix to ensure that our root cause was resolved. Since Plastomold has adopted Reliance as their new EQMS, Reliance handles their document control, training, and monitoring of nonconformances, meaning that everything, all of these action items can be handled and completed directly within Reliance. We'll focus on updating documentation first, since that's our first action item. If we expand here on our action item, we can see that it's assigned to me with a due date and an activity link. When I get assigned, I'll automatically receive an email notification with information here that I need, with a description of the action item and a link to that action item. When I go ahead and click on it, it'll bring me directly to this action item here, and I can see that the activity link is shown here. When I open my action item, we can see a link to the maintenance procedure that needs to be updated, taking the guesswork out of finding the correct document. So I don't need to worry about identifying what the correct maintenance procedure is or if it already exists. I already have that linked. And if I go ahead and go to the change request for that document, I can see here as well that it's also linked to the correct maintenance procedure. And in our document control application, we can see that the document is in our draft phase, since we're making the necessary changes to ensure that this doesn't happen again. So a quick recap on how to ensure a good corrective action. Use proven RCA tools. Even if you think you may know what the problem is, go through the root cause analysis method to ensure that you can find it and ensure that it won't recur again. Review your workflow. Don't just assume that's the first thing that you find. Review your corrective action as well and ensure that after that corrective action has been implemented, the problem doesn't recur. And try to determine ways to improve effectiveness of the RCA process. If performed effectively, root cause analysis can help you build resiliency, innovation, efficiency, and improve morale. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Angela to close us out.
Thank you so much, Nikola. Really appreciate all the great content you presented there. A lot of very useful tips and insight on the mechanics of root cause analysis. So we hope, and also thank you everyone for all the wonderful questions in the Q&A chat. Keep them coming. I think we've got a few more minutes to go through some Q&A. So keep those questions coming. We hope you take away from this presentation the value of a structured and consistent root cause analysis process and the many tools you can deploy to suit the needs of your company. And especially the value of automating and creating closed loop collaborative workflows on a platform like ETQ Reliance, where nothing's going to fall through the cracks from the issue being reported to root cause to connecting then to your quality assurance processes for corrective and preventive actions and change management. And finally, the positive impact that newer technology like predictive quality analytics can have on your ability to anticipate issues and act faster to prevent scrap, rework, recalls, and all those other costs of quality. So I think that's, the end of our presentation for today. We'd love to connect with you if you're interested in the additional value that ETQ Reliance can provide you as an enterprise QMS. You can learn more at etq.com, and on every page of the website, there's a contact us button, and we'd be happy to continue the conversation to learn more about your business and your quality challenges that you're aiming to solve. And with that, Tom, are there any questions you see coming across that you think we want to?
There are a few questions I'd like to address verbally here, if you don't mind. So there was a question about AI-supported quality management cycle where you can integrate AI into the root cause analysis process. We're actually working on a feature called the Form Field Advisor right now, which is designed to analyze descriptions of the problem, and it will then recommend any number of things on the form, which could include the root cause of the issue based on previous information. So that's a machine learning thing that would take place. And that's kind of combined with another question about the data, coding the data that you're collecting. That whole machine learning is all about teaching the system what types of root causes there may be in response to the types of issues. And we're not just talking about issues in the form of category fields, but with this machine learning and with the AI, we're actually analyzing descriptive text as well. So that's all on the roadmap for us in the very near future to release as a feature that's part of the system. I'm just looking at a couple of other questions. Everything in our system is date-based. Everything is workflow-based. Whenever something is assigned, it has an assignment email that goes out with a hyperlink to the record. There's a home page that shows your assignment, both on a calendar as well as on a list. And then there's a utility called escalation management that tracks those upcoming due dates as they approach, so that the person that's initially assigned would be reminded a certain number of days before the due date that something has to be done. They get sent another email with a link to the record. But as for the term escalation, it can also not only just go to the person, but maybe a few days later, it'll go to the person and their manager, and even to a third level of notification. So the beauty of our whole platform, and you can see along the top of the form that Nikola is describing or showing right here, those are each steps of the workflow. And at each step of that process, there's a due date, there's at least one person assigned. So workflow is very powerful in making sure that people do things in a timely manner. So that's some of the standard stuff available within ETQ Reliance. We do validate our system. We validate for the FDA requirements for those customers that are needed. And the Gen AI, that's a little early in the process, but we're certainly going to be working on validating that as well. So the application itself, I'm not sure, Nick, if we can pull up a list of the solution value map or anything like that. But there were some questions about other capabilities of the platform. But you can always just contact us and we can answer that offline as well, if we're not in a place to do that.
Yeah, I don't have that currently. I can try and pull it up.
So we have a total of over 40 applications available. The concept of FMEA control plans and whatnot came up a couple of times in the questions as well. So we have a really powerful application to manage FMEAs as well as control plans and APQP and PPAP and all those kinds of things. So if you think about the tool, it's a workflow-based business process platform. It's extremely good at handling complexity with simplicity. It's extremely good at scaling across large, medium, small organizations. And you can even, because our system is hosted in the cloud, you can also support what's called external collaboration, where you can incorporate other people besides internal employees like suppliers and contractors and others in any business process. So what this allows you to do is literally allows you to manage a large scale of activities and things that are going on. And then some of the things like the Pareto analysis that Nikola brought up before, all that data that you're capturing in our system is almost as a byproduct is readily available for analytics and reporting. There's a question about, does the program confirm that the correct root cause was arrived at? What this foreign field advisor is designed to do is make a recommendation, but it always presents it to the users or those that have the authority to make the appropriate decisions. So it's leveraging the power of the tool, but it's not going to ever take place of people. It's just designed to be used as a tool to make it easier to just make those recommendations. And as I said, root cause might be one field, but there could be multiple other fields on the form. And when I say the form, Nikola is talking about corrective action now, but like everything else in our system, once the tool is capable of doing something in one place, that can be leveraged and configured any other place within the system. There's a question here about geography, about collaboration across the organization. One of the things that our tool does extremely well is it serves as a single source of the truth. Most other systems require separate instances with silos because maybe they do slightly different things in a slightly different way across different parts of the organization. So our system ensures that everyone is aware of what's going on with tools to either collaborate real time, for example, in Microsoft Word. There could be one of these root cause analysis tools, the templates could be made available basically as in a collaborative format so that you could have multiple people editing it at the same time, but our system would control who can edit it and when they can edit it. So there are different tools capable or that you can leverage basically based on the scalability of our platform and to establish a single source of the truth. And questions are kind of being fired over here.
I'm trying to flag a couple for you, Tom.
Yeah. So like issues, that's interesting. So yes, we do have a capability called alerts within our system. So instead of addressing each individual issue separately, what the system can do is it can look for recurrences above a certain threshold within a certain time frame. It's called alerts. It monitors one or more fields on a form. So let's say that we had 10 or more nonconformances from the same supplier within a week. That might be indicative of a bigger problem. And this is a very stripped down simplistic example. You're talking about millions of records. We can handle that as well. But the idea is that instead of doing a knee-jerk response to every issue, and this is part of the beauty of the harmonization across the globe, because you don't have silos where people are tracking issues here, and then there's a separate bucket of issues over here, and a separate bucket of issues over here. Everything is automatically available for those that have the authority to do so, to see everything that's going on in the organization. And the alerts tool is one of those things that could, in the background, just be quietly monitoring what's happening. And then as soon as that threshold is reached, it would automatically trigger a record that links to those related records. And it also either sends an email to a predefined distribution list, almost like a dashboard warning light to let you know that a certain condition had occurred. But it could also trigger a record in another application, such as, let's say, if you're talking about supplier issues and you had more than 10 supplier issues within a certain period of time, like a week, it could trigger a supplier corrective action report automatically. And it could even either assign it to somebody internally automatically to evaluate and then move it on to the supplier. And as I mentioned, you can use external collaboration to actually assign things like that right to your supplier. The other option is that you could automatically just have it assign it right to the supplier that's associated with that particular issue. So it's the beauty of having a single harmonized platform is that you can coordinate a lot of activities and make correlations between things that you would normally not be able to do. Okay, there's a couple other questions. I think we'll just address them offline.
Okay. So those you got to the questions you wanted to address during this live presentation?
I think so.
Okay, cool. For those of you, I think Tom just mentioned there are some of these questions that make more sense to get to you offline on them. So don't worry, all of these questions will be sent to Angela, Nikola, and Tom, and they can get to you offline on that. And that is it. Good presentation, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks to all of you for joining us in the audience out there as well. You will be getting an email in about 24 hours that will have a link to a recording of this webinar. It'll be about this time tomorrow. Keep your eyes open for that. It'll be coming from Quality Digest, and then you can go back and watch that, watch this content again, and or share it with your coworkers. That would be awesome. And that is it. So from all of us here at Quality Digest and ETQ, thanks for joining us, and we will see you at the next webinar. So long.